So, Genji, everyone's favourite Naruto wannabe. Are you the person that sees people making montages including their sick Genji gameplay, and you think, well, all you have to do is press W and swing your weeb stick around, how hard can it be? And then you go into a comp game, pick the weeb and die horribly? Well, this video's for you. We'll go through all of Genji's basic abilities and even a few of the more interesting ones without going too far as to confuse. So let's get into it. Genji's primary and secondary fire is relatively easy to learn but quite hard to master. You have to decide a lot of the time which to use. The general rule is if you're poking or entering a fight at mid-range, you want to be using your left click, whilst if you're in close range, you want to be using your right click. But let's understand why you do this first. As you can see here, the secondary fire fires 3 shuriken out in a spread pattern. The spread of the fire isn't much, however as you move out more and more the spread increases, and eventually you're only ever going to be hitting one of your shuriken. One thing to be wary of is that Genji's spread on his right click is ever so slightly off center, so it's not advised to be lining up shots on the edges. This is why when you use it in close range engagements. You also want to use it to be comboing enemies, but we'll get to that later. Now we'll see why Genji's primary fire is used in the way it is. What we see here is that our primary fire is another 3-shot, however it's in a delayed format. While slower than the secondary, it's much more precise, and since it isn't all fired at once, you can even use it to lead the enemy's movement patterns. We also use this type of fire to poke. Now you may have heard this term before. Well, to poke is to fire at the enemy whilst not quite engaging in a fight. So if I were to poke in a game, I would shoot a primary fire at them and then retreat and evaluate if I can poke again. There are also 2 ways of poking, one of the ways being poking to get ult charge and then using blade to win a fight, the second being flanking and trying to kill spots. The most effective way to farm blade in the first example is to try and hit the tanks more often than not, since they have a much larger hitbox and are easy to hit. However, the problem with this style of play being that it relies on you being good with your dragon blade, which may not be the case for everyone. If you do poking via flanking, however, you're doing damage to supports, out of McDivas and other vulnerable targets. If you do enough damage, you can dash in to kill them and then dash back out. The major drawback of this playstyle being that if you are better at using your ultimate and worse close quarters combat, you're putting yourself at quite a large disadvantage. Genji's ultimate, Dragon Blade, is when Genji pulls out his weeb stick and starts whacking the enemy team for 120 damage per swing. So you need 2 swings to kill someone. While some may tell you to dash and then slice for that sweet 180 damage, this usually doesn't end well unless you are absolutely sure that target is going to die. This is because you can't do a quick 20 damage, so you might as well double slice them considering you need to anyway. The only time you want to slice and then dash is when it's a 150 HP hero, or when you know they're below 150 HP. But even then, if they're below 120 HP, just slice once. Your blade can also be supplemented by other ultimates from your team. The most often used combo is Nano Blade, which is Nano Boost plus Blade, possibly one of the highest damaging combos in the game. You can also combine your blade with other ults such as Transcendence for survivability. However, beware because this is also your counter. A lot of the time you hear about forcing trans to enable Blade, which means to pressure the enemy's Zenyatta to force him to use trans to survive the team fight. In a good pressure situation, the enemy's Zenyatta would be forced to use trans or die, and his team would lose the fight anyway. In the lower ranks, Zen players may be easy to coerce, but once you get to Plat and beyond, they will be way more focused on using ult to counter Genji Blade, and their positioning will be much better. Another ult you can combo with is Widow's Infocyte. This can be useful to see where your targets are and can help planning out where to start and where to go after you pull out your weeb stick. Planning your blades is a major thing as well, you at least need to know where you're going to go. Usually this will be to the enemy supports and then to any low health targets. You can also go for people without their abilities up, or this can be dangerous as you only have a limited amount of time until the abilities are back up. You'll learn how long most ability cooldowns are by just playing more. One last thing, you don't need to get 3+ kills every single time you use your ultimate. 1 or 2 kills is still fighting winning even with some support from your team, but if you get a bad blade at least you can use your abilities. Genji has 2 abilities, not counting his passive. These are his dash and his deflect. Both are extremely powerful when used the right way. Dash is an ability which causes Genji to dash forward and do 50 damage to anyone caught in it, and this makes it useful for finishing targets or escaping. For example, if a target is low enough to be dashed, there will be 2 bars of health. Dash can also be used to move towards, in front of or behind the character so that you can engage them. As a quick reference, dash distance is 15 meters in a straight line. However, if you are within 15 meters and don't want to go behind your target, you can dash to the ground in front of them. But this is usually used when you're ulting. Another fun thing about dash is that it resets on a kill, so you can use it to go into the enemy team, kill someone, then disengage all in quick succession. Be careful though, dash isn't an instant ability. It takes time to get to one place, and if you're dashing towards a target, they might be healed by the end of the dash, so you need to be ready to combo or to disengage with the other ability. Deflect. Deflect is the ability that reflects everything but beams and melee damage back at the crosshair. It does block melee damage but doesn't reflect the damage done back. A lot of people use the ability to deal finishing damage to an enemy, but this really isn't what you should use it for. In my opinion, deflect should be almost used as a shield, so as it gets rid of most of the damage. This is why Sage can be used to disengage from a bad blade or a bad engage from the enemy team. However, it only shields damage in front of you, so you do still need to be careful of people behind you. Hard to show any clips of this isn't exactly explosive as the other abilities, so I'll just show a very anticlimactic clip of Genji walking backwards. Man, that's weak. Put some explosions in or something. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I can actually talk about positioning with Genji. So positioning is possibly one of the trickier ones to talk about in basics, but you always want to be in position to deal damage to the enemy team via poking, but you also want to be close enough to your own team in order to be ready to team fight if needs be. Positioning yourself near a wall to deal damage to the enemy team is useful. Now when I say near a wall, I mean you can do something like this. What I'm doing here is positioning myself on the ground so that the enemy can't see me to damage me or get any ult charge off me. Then using the wall to climb up and gain height advantage, to then pop out, deal damage and return to my hiding spot. This is very useful because people expect someone to be at head height, but when you use the wall to jump off at any moment, so they have now a whole wall corner to worry about in this case. But we'll move on to more advanced tips now since I can't really say anything more about positioning. So one of the most heavily known things about Genji are his combos. This consists of secondary fire and dash, and depending whether they're in front or behind, you may have to 180 and secondary them, or maybe just secondary them if you're in front. And if the enemy is low enough, you can just melee to finish them. Be careful about this though, as the melee animation locks you in it for a bit, so it's wiser to just secondary fire and then melee to confirm a kill. So being ambitious and using secondary fire and melee is better, as it does 200 damage body shots, but it takes a lot longer and you need to hit all the shuriken on both your dash secondary fire and your combo secondary fire. Another well-known Genji trick is ghost dashing. This is using dash as soon as it's off cooldown, usually used to get out of the enemy team much quicker than regular dashing. So I'm going to slow that down for you just so you can see easier, but what I do is I use dash as soon as it's off cooldown and it cancels the dash animation, which makes it way faster than regular dash. So the last tip I'm going to give you is about cancelling Dragon Blade shielding animation. Whilst it's only really used in a specific situation, it's nice to do in a pinch, and it can be also used the same way to cut to flex shot. So how you do this is while the animation is going, just climbing up a wall for more than a second, and it gives you way more movement than just sitting there and putting the blade away. That about wraps things up, and now your Genji gameplay should look much better. If you don't expect this short video to boost you to GM, you need to tie this together with good game sense and good team play, which I may cover another video. But until then, thanks so much for watching this video, and I hope it helps you in your venture becoming a much better Genji player. If you liked the video, you can subscribe here, or you can follow my Twitch, which will be in the description. I have a Discord, also in the description. I announce my streams and my videos there. And this has more words on my uni assignment, so I thank everyone that helped me proofread this, even though it was offered to them. I'll put those links in the description to my friends. And yeah, thanks for watching, I guess.